Yo, what's happening, Raider Nation? It's your boy Soto here. You know what it is. Raiders versus the world. Talked about the team that the world loves to hate, your Las Vegas Raiders. All right. So we're in the midst of it, right? We're right into it. The draft is coming up in just a few weeks, and I'm clogging up my clothes. I'm ready for this draft to come, right? So a lot of questions to be asked, a lot of questions to be answered. We thought that some of these free agent signings would have helped us kind of have a little bit more clarity in what's going to happen in the draft. It hasn't really happened. There's still a lot of questions as far as who we're going to target, what direction we're going to go in this draft. So I put together a bunch of questions that I found online, and I want to answer and give you guys my thoughts on these questions that are like pressing questions for Raider Nation. But before we do, I want to make sure everyone please to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. It's a great way to support. It's absolutely free. And it's the bare minimum you can do to support this channel besides doing absolutely nothing and just watching the video, which I do appreciate. But you know what? You're here. You might as well do it. Everyone's doing it. Okay, let's get to it. All right, here's the first question. If Shedeur Sanders slides to 6 and Tom Brady wants him, but Pete Carroll and John Spytek want Ashton Jeanty or an offensive tackle, who do you think Mark Davis would side with? And who would you prefer? All right. Well, first, I don't think Mark Davis is going to get too involved. I think he hired the people that he hired to put them in the position to make those decisions. I don't know that this is going to be something where Tom Brady is going to say that I want this guy or I want that guy. I think he's going to make his opinion known. Ultimately, on draft day, I really do think the decision is going to be left to John Spytek. Bottom line. He's the GM. He's the one that should make the decisions. I think he's going to be the one that does make the decisions. I don't know that you're going to want to bring in a short-term head coach like Pete Carroll because, dude, he's 73 years old, right? He's going to be a short-term head coach. You're not going to bring him in and then just to create a culture of the head coach having more power than the GM because let's say once Pete Carroll goes and you replace him with somebody else, it's like John Spytek's already tainted. He didn't have the power before. It's like you're going to give him the power now. No, I really do think it's going to be Spytek's call who we select, and is it going to be Shedeur, Jeanty, or a tackle? I think I would go with the elite player in college, which I think was Jeanty the entire year. I think there's a lot of great depth at running back, and membou and there's a couple other guys, Campbell, and there's a lot of guys that are really, really, really good players. I just think that a 1 out of 5 isn't going to make as much impact as a 1 out of 1 with the running back. So I would probably go Jeanty. All right, guys, here comes the next question. I saw a great YouTube video on how the run game floor is set by blocking yards before contact, and the ceiling is set by the running back yards per attempt. Raiders were very low in both. Yeah, we were. Is this a good argument to prioritize offensive line and draft later? I'm assuming I said draft a running back later. That's an excellent argument. And I do believe that there was a little bit of blame to go around. I mean, in all three phases, the coaching, the offensive line blocking, and the running back who's running the ball. Ultimately, yes. You have a better offensive line. It's going to make your running back better regardless of the level where they are. Even if they're one of the worst running backs in the league, if they're running behind a really good offensive line, they're going to be much better than if they were running behind another offensive line, right? It just makes total sense, right? It's pretty obvious. But you have to take a look at how these players on the offensive line, how much are they going to impact the offensive line as opposed to how much the running back affects the running back position. I think Jeanty is clearly the best running back in this class. Now, is he a generational talent and this and that? I don't know yet. I don't know. But he was an elite player in college. He has all the measurables you're looking for, and he is clearly the best running back in this deep running back class. I have to account for something. Now, there's athletic ability and stuff like that going on with some of these players at the top, but they do have some limitations. Now, I do like Membou because of the fact that he's so young, he's so raw, but he's so athletic, and he's really good despite how young he is. So if I were to go one way or the other, I would probably still go with the running back because I think you can still get a really good offensive lineman to boost your blocking scheme. And the impact to the position is going to be greater with Jeanty at running back than as opposed to adding one of these first two offensive linemen to the offensive line. I think the difference is going to be much greater. And you can always get better offensive linemen in the future. I don't know how often you're going to get a player like an Ashton Jeanty coming out and have the ability to draft them. All right, guys, let's go to the next question here. Jeanty at 6 seems high for a running back. They usually lose effectiveness by 30 or sooner and are easy to replace with solid starters in later rounds year after year. Is he a top 10 generational talent? Short answer is, I don't think so. I wouldn't necessarily call him a generational talent. You're talking about like first ballot Hall of Fame type of guy. But I do think Ashton Jeanty is the best running back prospect to come out since Saquon Barkley. Now, there's been some really good running backs to come out since then, but I think he's the most complete talent at a high level to come out since Saquon Barkley. And you saw what Saquon Barkley can do with a really good offensive line. I think this is a huge question going on right now in Raider Nation because people are finding it really hard to wrap their heads around going for Jeanty at 6 because they're like, well, the running back is devalued and they lose effectiveness after 30. And it's like, dude, look, we'll worry about him being 30 when he's 30, right? Let's just focus on him, getting him on the field and getting him to play at his best. I think if you draft that far into the future, you lose. You're stepping over dollars to pick up dimes, all right? Get the best player you can. That's going to change and affect your team the most right away. That is going to be Ashton Jeanty. Is he a generational talent? I don't think so. I don't think he's like a guy that's going to step up and we're going to be like, wow, this guy's going to be an all-pro year after year, like a Brock Bowers. He stepped on the field and we're like, oof, that's different. That guy is freaking legit, right? Compared to all the other tight ends. I don't think Jeanty's going to come in there and be that for the running back position, but I do think he's going to come in and be one of the better running backs in the league right away from his physical tools and his abilities and just his overall traits as a runner. Now, on top of that, he's an excellent pass catcher out of the backfield, and you put him into that system with Chip Kelly, he just cranks out great seasons by running backs and pass catchers out of the backfield. So you put all that together, and you're looking at a much improved run game for this offense that desperately needed it. So, yeah, there's your answer. I hope it was enough answer for you. All right, guys, here we go. Next question. What are your thoughts on Jaylen Walker at 6? I've been trying to sell myself on the idea since Lance Zierlein mocked him to us twice now. Okay. Dude, I think Jaylen Walker's a freaking stud. I think he's an excellent player. He's a hybrid linebacker, edge rusher. I think he's super dynamic. I think he's a closer. I think he smells the blood in the water and he closes. That's one of the things that was kind of an issue with Shamar Stewart was he had all the measurables, but he just wasn't a closer. He didn't really have like that extra gear at the very end to be able to get people on the ground. Jaylen Walker has that, like overflowing. This guy's a freaking just natural stud. But I really do think for the bang for the buck, I would go with one of the 3 or 4 elite players in college. Now, I'm not saying that Jaylen Walker wasn't a very good player, but when you talk about players that can really dominate games, you're talking about the Abdul Carters of the game, you're talking about Ashton Jeanty, you're talking about Travis Hunter, and you're talking about Mason Graham. Those guys were the guys that I saw that were the ones that were dominating the landscape of college football in their games a lot more than Jaylen Walker. Now, would I be upset if we got Jaylen Walker at 6? No, I think he's going to go maybe 1 or 2 spots after he's going to go in the top 10. He's a top 10 pick. So would I be upset if we got Jaylen Walker? Absolutely not. I think the guy's a freaking stud, but I would prefer to go at other spots. If we end up getting him, that's a great get for us. Look, all I care about is getting a great player at that position that's going to be able to make an impact right away. And I do think Jaylen Walker can do that. All right, guys, I like this. Moving right along. Next question here. How do you feel about the Raiders' cornerback room? Do you think bringing in a quality starter is a big need? Yes. Yes. Huge need. Yes. Double yes. Triple yes. Huge need for us at cornerback. Even before the whole Jack Jones thing. Now, I'm not saying that Jack Jones was the end-all be-all to make or break the cornerback room. I think he had his severe liabilities, and I wish him well. But we have that need. It's even bigger now. And I really think that it's going to be – I really find it hard to believe that Pete Carroll defense is going to leave something as important as the secondary is to him and a Patrick Graham defense up to a bunch of young players and rookies and free agents. They're going to look after a guy. They're going to look for a guy. I'm telling you, they're going to go for a guy that's a guy out there. Who's it going to be? Who knows? Asante Samuel's out there still. There's a couple of guys out there. Also, there's also the second wave of free agency, so we don't know yet. But I wouldn't put it past the Raiders to draft a corner pretty high in this draft if he becomes available to him, because recently, I mean, when Hobbs signed with Green Bay, it became a big need, and it was a need already because of the way that the team played. But since the whole Jack Jones thing happened, it's going to be an even bigger need now. And I think they're going to look for some young players along with some veteran players as well in free agency. Here we go. Next question. Do you think we should take a chance on Shavon Revel out of ECU? I have heard a lot of good things about him, but he is rehabbing a right knee ACL repair. I hope he's there in the third. Yeah, I don't think he's going to be there in the third, man. This dude has top half of first round talent. If he does drop out of the first round, it's going to be in the top half of the second round, solely because of the ACL injury. Shavon Revel is a really, really good corner. He's got the length, the size, he's got the ability, he's got the production, he's got that just mentality of a guy you want out of a corner to lead your defense from the back end. And the only reason why he's not going to be a top half of the first round pick is because if he tore his ACL. All signs point to him being ready to come back, which is crazy, the modern freaking medicine. If he does miss some time, it's going to be just a little bit, maybe the first quarter of the season. But, I mean, the way these guys are coming back from these injuries, I don't see there being anything to slow Shavon Revel down after he comes back off of his ACL injury. But, man, he's not going to be there in the third round, man. There's a couple guys that are like people are kind of have a pipe dream they're going to be there longer. Nah, man, this guy's going to be gone at the very latest, the top half of the second round. All right, guys, here we go. Last question. Would you think Raiders trade 6 to New York Giants, Cleveland, or Tennessee for a 2 and a 6 this season in 2025 and a 1 in 2026? Don't know the formula. That way the Raiders could still put 2 firsts together and move up for a quarterback and have a good draft in 2025. Interesting. So trade your 1 this year for a very high 2 and another pick this season and a 1 next season. I don't know if that formula works out. I think it's going to have to be a higher pick this season and a 1 and a late pick next season. I don't know, but I get what you're saying. I'm not totally opposed to that because there are a lot of high-end players in this draft, but not a lot of elite ones. It all depends on who's available at 6. I know that a lot of times people like to say, well, best player available and this and that. And yeah, I get that. But if that best player available isn't too far behind the players that are available, let's say 20, 25 picks down the road, would you pull the trigger? I do like the fact of getting more picks. I do like the fact that we can get 2 number 1 picks next season with a much, much better quarterback group coming out. And not forcing it this year, it does put us behind a year. We do get more picks. I think it's going to be interesting. I'm going to hold off on that, and I don't mean to be dodgy about it, but I'm going to say that it really does depend on who's available at 6 and what the compensation coming back is. But I'm not saying no. All right, guys, that's my time. I really appreciate you guys watching. Go ahead and make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to this video. It's free. It's a great way to support this channel, and it's the absolute bare minimum you can do to support this channel besides doing absolutely nothing and just watching the video. But I do appreciate that anyway. Let me know what you guys think about these questions and the answers. If you have more questions for another mailbag kind of thing going over in the future, I'll do that as well. I'll try to do a mailbag episode once a week because I think you guys have a lot of really good questions. Please don't just keep it realistic, okay? Even though this last question was a little bit far-fetched, it is somewhat realistic. Keep it realistic, okay? And I would love to answer your questions. All right, guys, that's my time. Appreciate it. Till next time, everybody. Peace. Hey, Raider Nation, thanks for watching. There's plenty more where that came from. Go ahead and smash that like button, drop a comment, make sure to subscribe and share to all your socials. It's the bare minimum you can do without doing absolutely nothing.